I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call to quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way, cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all of this. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve. Shield my greed. That's how I get it. Success ain't no giving. Some days I don't eat, I don't sleep. When I'm focused on dangerous, they don't wonder when I'm anxious. Ain't no limit till I tank. I'm running on fumes. The opposition don't amaze. The roads racing through the pavement. Get your hands out of my bag. I know that's because I've been in it. I don't need to brag. I guess that's what happens when you taking care of your business. But some family, you do the math. I'm out of my pocket. Houston, we got a problem, man. Perfect, let them watch me. Elevating, got them nauseous. Cause I'm the pilot in the cockpit. Nose diving in the option. Woo! Watch how I get ahead. Watch how I get ahead. Watch how I get ahead. Woo!
It's time! Welcome to DFS by the Numbers with your host, Brady.
Better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers, and welcome to Best Bet for UFC 280. We have Islam Makhachev going against Charles Oliveira in what is most definitely the most stacked card of the year. I cannot wait for it. Can't wait to talk about it. Can't wait to talk about these odds, these bets. It should be a very fun show as always. And I am here with, we got Wheezy, we got Narco Cop, we got Gordo. We'll kick it to you first, Narco Cop. Are you looking forward to the card of the year?
Oh yeah, man. This is like an amazing card. Been tape studying the last 2 days, like pretty hard. And like, I really like this card. I mean, even from like a violence perspective, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very, very violent card as well. We got Wheezy. Wheezy, what is up? You looking forward to the card?
Best card of the year, man. I'm just hoping all the rest of the fights stay on. We already lost Magomed Mustafaev for the 14th straight time. His fight has been called off. And it's not haircut related from what I'm hearing. So I don't know what's going on with this guy, but let's just hope that all the rest of these fights do stay on. And then if we do have to lose one more, let it be Hossa versus Landsberg.
Agreed. Or the freaking Nurmagomedov Omergazia fight.
That one would be fine with me as well. Yes.
All right. I like it. But yeah, hopefully every single fight stays on from here on out. We got Gordo. Gordo, what is up? You looking forward to the card?
I am definitely looking forward to it. Like you guys said, the card of the year. You got some great fighters, some great matchups, and a lot of syllables in these names. That always makes for a good fight night, right? So I really do think it's a very good card. Lots of spots. Excited to hear your thoughts on these cards from a betting perspective, because we just did that DFS video. But I truly am excited for the card, and I say we don't waste any time.
For sure. All right, guys, before we get into it, if you guys can please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I also did link down Narco, Wheezy, and Gordo's YouTube channels down in the description. Go check them out. Go subscribe to them as well. And I do want to shout out the chat before we get started. We got Daz, first one in here. We got Grateful Dude. We got Tony. We got Rob. We got Aaron. We got the Dab Father. We got Andy Mush. We got Nelson. We got Monk. We got Benito. We got Prince of Mischief. We got a ton of people coming in here. Benito, thank you all for hanging out. Does go a long way. Hit that like button. It does mean a lot. All right. We'll move on to the first fight of the card, and we will start with Karol Rosa going against Lena Landsberg. And Narco, we'll start with you. What are you liking from a betting perspective here?
Yeah, so I mean, I really like Rosa in this spot. This is one that, you know, I normally kind of stay away from women's MMA in general. I feel like this is a big mismatch, man. You know, Lena Landsberg's strength is in the clinch. And, you know, from what I've seen from Karol Rosa, she looks extremely strong in the clinch. She throws a lot of knees in the clinch. I don't think Lena Landsberg is going to be the stronger woman here. So, like, the one advantage that I think she has against some fighters, she doesn't have in this fight. Then when you talk about volume, when you talk about power, when you talk about striking, when you talk about grappling, when you talk about, I mean, takedowns, wrestling, I mean, it's all Karol Rosa. It's like, I played her at minus 250. That line is like gone now. Like, I usually don't lay juice with women's MMA. I just think this fight is so one-sided here. The thing that I like here still, it's the KO and sub, like the inside the distance for Karol Rosa's plus 300 on FanDuel. I think that's extremely live here because I know Karol Hossa doesn't have a lot of finishes, but when you watch her fight, she like throws with power. She's got a good top game. And Lena Landsberg, like she's been finished by Aspen Ladd. She's been finished. I mean, Cyborg is like whatever, but Aspen Ladd finishing you, just yelling while she was on top is a little bit of a red flag. So I just think Karol Hossa like hits hard even on the feet. And we saw Penny Kinzat kind of like light her up on the feet. So I like Karol Hossa inside the distance here.
Inside the distance for Karol Hossa. Yeah, for me, I don't have a bet on this fight. I wish I would have potentially laid that minus 250 last week where you kind of got it there. But I think if anything for me right now, it would just be Karol Hossa as a parlay piece, minus 315 there on DraftKings Sportsbook. I don't know if I'd really mess around with the props. I personally think decision is most likely, but Lena Landsberg's 40 years old. Maybe she does look for the door eventually in this fight. But I do think Karol Hossa is one of the more safer parlay pieces on the card. I don't have a play on her yet, and I probably won't, honestly. But yeah, if I was to play anything, it would probably be Rosa and just throwing her in a parlay with something else on the card. Weezy, anything sticking out to you for your best bet here?
We were talking on probability about that over 2.5 at minus 275. That's juice to the tits, but we still like that happening. Between these ladies, 8 UFC wins, 0 of them are inside the distance. But I figure if you like the minus 275 for the over 2.5, why not just take Rosa by decision at minus 125? You can get that number way down there, and you just have to worry about the unlikely possibility that Landsberg does win 2 out of 3 rounds here against somebody as well-rounded who throws as much volume. When I look at the stats here and you tell me which one of these ladies is going to be the better minute winner, all of the metrics lean Rosa here. Her ability to get takedowns, her ability to stop takedowns should her opponent want them, her ability to throw more volume than her opponents, to land more, to stop more, to be more defensively responsible. All of these categories favor Hossa. So at minus 125, I feel that's the best way to play it, Hossa by decision.
Hossa by decision, minus 125. Gordo, what do you think for this first fight of the night?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Usually in these first fights of the night, I like to think that they're trying to showcase something, whether that be violence to get the viewers going. I think it's just a showcase fight for Rosa. They're trying to give the younger fighter a step up here against someone who's, got some decent experience. I think it's Rosa all day, whether that be as a parlay piece, whether that be getting in early on that money line, such as Narco Cop did. I tend to lean towards the decision prop as well. So that's going to be the best bet for me on this spot here is Rosa by decision at minus 115. However, I would really just stick with the money line, but I'm going to cheat a bit here on FanDuel round 3 indecision. They have Rosa minus 150. So that is also one, but let's just say Rosa by decision as the best bet.
Oh, that's not cheating. That's definitely in play there for you, Gordo. Dope Space liking the over in this one. Mushroom is with you there with the Rosa 3rd round decision. Get the extra round in there. I don't hate that at all. Andy Mush is saying the finish only, which is interesting because on BetOnline it's only minus 260. I think if anybody's finishing this fight, it is going to be Rosa there. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Looking forward to that fight, but I'm so looking forward to this fight. Man, poor Malcolm Gordon. We have Machachev now minus 1,300. And yeah, I think it's warranted here. The bet that I do like is the fight won't start round 3 here on FanDuel. It was minus 126 at open. It's now minus 140. Man, if Makhachev does not finish Malcolm Gordon in 10, they are feeding Malcolm Gordon here to Makhachev to build him up, get him a highlight reel finish. I think Makhachev smokes him in the first round. I think Gordon could even get knocked out by a Bruce Buffer fist bump. I think Gordon can even get knocked out, tonight if his air conditioning's on too high. This guy's shin is horrendous. 4 knockout losses, 1 sub loss, been finishing all his losses. Killer be killed. I think Makhachev takes care of him here in a round, but give me that extra round with that fight won't start round 3, minus 140. I know these violence props are crazy in terms of the price for this flyweight fight, but I really think Makhachev should smoke right through him. If he doesn't, if he takes Gordon into the 3rd round or decision, he should be ashamed of himself. So give me Makhachev in the first round, but give me that fight won't start round 3. 10 minutes, I don't think Malcolm Gordon survives. Gordo, what are you looking at for this fight here?
Right there with you. And I know I said this earlier, but what a shame that the Canadian fighter, the sole Canadian fighter, also named Gordon is as bad as he is, man. Really not making me look that good, right? But no, I think this is a spot where you have to go violence. I'm with you. I bet the fight doesn't start round 3, but I'll tell you this right here. First of all, my lock of the night play is going to be the under 1.5 rounds at -105. I think the odds in that are way too short. I think that the UFC is setting up Makhachev to add another resume, and they're losing their darling and O'Malley to Jan this week, so they need a new darling, a new young prospect. I think they're going to get him built up here in Muhammad Makhachev. Under 1.5, that's the play I'm going with this week, but I do love the fight doesn't start round 3 as well.
Yeah, I almost bet the under myself as well earlier in the week. Wheezy, what is your best bet for this fight here?
My best bet is to absolutely always stay away from betting these kind of fights. I think Makhachev wins this fight. I think he wins it inside the distance, but paying, these kind of lines, like for instance, that line that Brady just gave out, the fight doesn't start round 3 at -140. When you compare how many fights actually don't start round 3 at the UFC level in 125-pound fights, it's 36.6%, and we're paying 58.33%. It's overpriced by like 21.75%. So there's not a line that I would touch. I wouldn't bet Gordon, and I wouldn't bet Makhachev at these juiced lines, but I have to give you something. And I kind of feel like Makhachev is more likely to win this fight by submission than he is by KO, but no way I'm betting it. But +130 Makhachev by submission.
Makhachev by submission +130. Narco, what do you like for this fight here?
Yeah, I mean, I have a really big bet on Makhachev ITD. I got it at -175. It's, if you have Betway, it's -188. I would absolutely hammer that line still. Complete mismatch, man. Like Makhachev can win any way he wants to win. Submission, knockout. I mean, I think there's a huge gap from my opinion between Malcolm Gordon and Makhachev's last opponent in Charles Johnson. Johnson is way more durable. Johnson is way more athletic. Johnson has the pedigree for wrestling. Like his takedown, his get-up game is, spectacular. Gordon is, I mean, he's getting screwed here, and Makhachev is going to do the screwing. So, I mean, inside the distance, -188, I still think, honestly, that's very, very good price, because I have it upwards of 250 here for inside the distance. I just don't see how Gordon gets out, knowing that the guy is already chinny too. Like, the guy's chinny. He's been subbed by Amir Albazi. It's not like he's, he has a black belt, but I still think Makhachev can easily sub this guy. So I think it's the ground and pound, to a sub, or even the ground and pound to a KO can happen. So give me Makhachev inside the distance here. Really like that spot.
Yep, all over Makhachev this week myself, but it looks like by the judging of this line movement, everybody is. Let's see what we got in the chat here. Saying he'd be shocked if this went over the 1.5 rounds. Andy Mush saying Makhachev round 1 or round 2, but I think I'm staying away from this one. Rob saying easy money. All right, we'll move on to the Level Up saying Makhachev to win in round 1, easiest money I've ever seen. What is Makhachev to win in round 1? Makhachev to win in round 1 is like +175. I don't think that's horrible. I think he does finish it in round 1 myself. All right, we'll move on to the next fight. We have AJ Dobson going against Armen Petrosyan. We'll start with you, Easy. What do you like into this fight here?
Okay, so AJ Dobson has 6 professional wins. 5 of them are finishes, and of those 5 finishes, all 5 are first-round finishes. And Armen Petrosyan has been finished once. It was by knockout in the first round. AJ's not a particularly talented grappler, especially not up at the UFC level. He's gotten 2 submissions to 3 knockouts in the finishes that he has gotten as a pro. But, I don't think he's going to submit Armen Petrosyan, because I don't really think he's going to need to take him down if he lands a big shot. So AJ Dobson's best win condition is a first-round knockout. It's +850 on FanDuel. I threw a quarter unit on it. I think that Petrosyan probably wins this fight if he survives that first round. But Dobson's so dangerous early. At +850, it's a small way to play this guy Dobson by his best win condition in this spot. And we have seen Armen Petrosyan get sparked in the first round by a fighter not as good as AJ Dobson and Hassan Yousefi.
Yeah, I think that's a decent way to play the Dobson side. For me, I'm going to go with the fight to end by knockout at -210. I like violence in this one, but these violence prices, I'm just kind of upset. Like they open up the under 2.5 at like +1, like 20, like +130 or something like that. It's now like -200. I don't really see a submission from either guy here. Petrosyan showed phenomenal submission defense against Caio Borralho. I think there's going to be a knockout, whether it's an AJ Dobson knockout in the first round, like you said, Wheezy, or I see Petrosyan potentially live for that knockout in round 2 or round 3. But yeah, -210 fight to end in KO. I don't have a bet on this fight, and I'm probably not going to touch anything on it. But if I was to bet it, that's kind of where I'd look at it. I lean violence, but I'm not running to the window on anything in this one. Narco, what are you looking at for this fight here?
Yeah, I honestly think this is a buy low spot on Petrosyan. I'm not too fond of AJ Dobson, honestly. This guy he's a power lifter, I guess. He's just like a strong guy, but his striking looks bad. His, takedown defense looked really bad. His gas tank looks horrible. Armen Petrosyan, I mean, he has been KO'd, like you guys mentioned, in the regionals against Yousefi. But honestly, I think Yousefi is a better fighter than AJ Dobson. Honestly, I disagree with Uncle Weezy. But the one thing here is like his 2 fights in the UFC have been a murderous row. Like Gregory Rodriguez, and he went to split decision, and he probably lost that fight, but they gave him the W. And then Caio Borralho, who's like a nightmare for a lot of people with his grappling. Like this is a monster step down for him against AJ Dobson. And he really doesn't have to worry about the wrestling much. And if Dobson does take him down, he's not going to do much with him taking him down. I mean, he's going to get right back up. His cardio's looked really, really good in both fights, especially the Rodriguez fight. I mean, crazy pace in that fight. And he looked good in the 3rd round and came on. So I really like the Petrosyan side. I don't see, outside of Dobson maybe landing something really big very early, I don't think he has anything else for Petrosyan. And you're giving me -205 just because, the one guy has one big punch early on. I'm going to take it. I think that line is too short. And I like Armen Petrosyan here.
All right, Armen Petrosyan around -200 there on Bet Online. Yeah, I'm with you. I do like him myself. Just don't know if I'm going to get there. But Gordo, what do you like for this fight here?
I'm completely with you there, Narco. I do think it's a buy low opportunity, but I'm going Petrosyan by KO. I'm mixing yours and Brady together, +120, and the line is only getting better there. So for me, I think he's going to be able to wear him down. I think he's the better technical striker, and the more punches you eat from Armen Petrosyan, it's not going to get any better, especially with the cardio deficiencies we've seen from AJ Dobson. Huge step up in competition. I think it's a step down for Petrosyan, as Narco mentioned. I think it's his fight to lose, and I do think he gets it done by a knockout. So +120 there. If you want to be safer, take the -200 money line of Petrosyan, but I do think he gets this done no problem.
All right, Petrosyan by knockout for Gordo. Yeah, cannot wait for that fight. Probably one of my favorite fights on the prelims there. All right, let's move on to probably my least favorite fight in the card. I just don't know what to do with this one. We have Abubakar Nurmagomedov going against Omar Gadzhiev. We'll start with you, Narco. What do you like for this fight here?
Violence, believe it or not. I like the fight doesn't go here. It's +152. And I get it that Nurmagomedov has been to decision a lot, but if you look at the context of how he's getting there, like the guy throws with power, has very good striking. And then when you look on the other side for Gadzhi, like this guy, he's been to decision, I believe, twice in his career, but he's throwing big in those fights. Like he's throwing fight-ending punches. And I just feel like there's going to be violence here. The other aspect that I see here that's pretty important is Gadzhiev is dropping to 170 here, guys. So we don't know if that chin is bad too. So Abubakar has very, very nice striking. I really like his striking. Gadzhi was getting clipped against Caio Borralho pretty often. And I think Abubakar might be able to get him out of there. And to top it off, like it's not like Gadzhi doesn't have finishing ability himself. So for me, I'm just going to take fight doesn't go. It's +152 at 170 pounds. It's fine with me.
Looking for some violence there. Wheezy, what do you like for this fight here?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Abu by decision here. Gadzhi's never been finished in his career. Abu, not much of a finisher, but I hear everything that Narco Cop is saying, because when I watch tape on these guys too, I was thinking to myself, man, Gadzhi's a bit of a wild man. He's not technical, but the dude is like, he'll swing so hard, he might hit you, and if he misses, he might fucking fall down, so he's one of those types. So, I mean, I think it's kind of risky here, but, there's two things you don't do. You don't lay juice on Abu Nurmagomedov. That is a bad, bad thing to do, because he's let some people down as a big favorite before. But I feel like Abu by decision at plus 140 kind of brings in his best win condition in this particular fight. But I don't trust either of these guys with my money, and I won't be betting this fight.
Yeah, this one's a tough one. I do not have a bet on this fight. I'm staying far, far away from it. If I had to give out a bet, I think I would lean towards the finish only on Gadzhi. The scorecard's no action at plus 115. The reason being, he's a finisher, 85% finish rate for him. Nurmagomedov has been finishing all three of his losses. He got finished in his debut against David Zawada. He has dropped the ball before. He's been dropped and submitted. He's been submitted by David Zawada when he was on top as well. And Omar Gadzhiev, he's dangerous. He's dangerous on the feet. He's dangerous on the mat. And I think if there is a finish, I do lean towards it more being on Omar Gadzhiev's side. So at plus money, I would look towards that. But I'm not betting on this fight. Don't have a great read on it. I'm going to be passing. But if I had to play anything, it probably would be that. Or even like the dog shot on Omar Gadzhiev. I think it could be a potential buy low spot on him. I don't think he had the best performance against Caio when that was a very tough matchup. And I don't know, could he be a fraud? Maybe potentially. He hasn't had to fight the best competition, but I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, I just don't have a great read on this fight. Gordo, what's sticking out to you on this one?
I'm taking violence here, man. I'm with Narco. I talked about this for a long time yesterday, so I'm going to try to summarize all my thoughts here. Narco talked about him coming down in weight. He talked about him having that good finishing potential. Abubakar, although he is a decision fighters, Nurmagomedov at heart. He's got power. He throws with ill intent, but he also has his way of throwing away fights. And if you're able to make mistakes, Gadzhi definitely has the opportunity to capitalize on them. The other interesting thing too is we look at the record of Gadzhiev or Gadzhiev, and you say he's never been finished before. He's got this weird amateur loss where he was finished in 2018, even though he was a pro by then. He was a pro since 2013, although he has a finished loss in the amateurs of 2018. That's all weird as well. Either way, I do think that this fight has finishing potential. If you're looking at the odds here and the implied probability of this fight ending, I do think that there is a better chance than plus 152 does entail, whether that be from Gadzhi capitalizing on a mistake that Abubakar makes, Abubakar capitalizing on that weight cut of Gadzhi. Either way, I know you're not looking forward to it. I kind of am. A lot of syllables in this fight, so it'll be fun for me to try to break it down. But I do think it ends more times than the line does entail, but it should be interesting.
There are definitely a lot of syllables in this fight. Daz saying the Omar Gadzhiev KO plus 1,300. My goodness. So Daz is liking that. And Andy Mush is talking about man staying away. I'm staying away myself. But yeah, Narco and Gordo liking violence there. So plus 152 as well. We'll move on to the next fight. I think this one's going to be a very fun fight, or has potential to be a very fun fight. We got Lucas Almeida going against Zubaira. Tukhugov. Narco, we'll start with you. What do you like in this fight here?
Violence again, man. Like I again, a guy like Tukhugov really doesn't finish people, but he does have a lot of power in the first round. He does drop people. He does hurt people in that first round. But the guy has a suspect gas tank. And when you look at the other side, I mean, what don't you like about Almeida in a fight that doesn't have, like, this guy's a walking violent man. This guy is like fucking throwing bombs from first to third round. He's looking to finish you. He got dropped and hurt very, very bad against Trezano, who's really not known as a big puncher. But he also dropped Trezano twice, and Trezano's known to have a very, very good chin. He knocked him out there in the third round. The one thing we could say with Tukhugov is his third rounds have looked very sketchy. His cardio's looked kind of sketchy. outside of the last fight where against Ramos, where he looked decent. But the problem is Almeida's going to keep coming forward. Almeida's going to keep throwing big punches. He's not going to stop until he tries to get you out of there. And that's just going to force a fight from Tukhugov. And some people seem to think that Tukhugov can land takedowns. Yes, but his control sucks. Like, he doesn't hold anybody down. So this fight's going to be on the feet for a long time. And I just see violence here, man. So give me fight doesn't go here at plus 134.
Sounds good for me. I'm going to go with the Lambo play on this one. I like Almeida to win by knockout in round 3 here. You mentioned a good point there, Narco. Tukhugov, he slows down a lot in fights. Like in the 3rd round, he's tired in a lot of fights. And Almeida, he can go 15 minutes, no problem, tons of energy. And his power carries late. We saw it against Trezano. Plus 3,000. I think he gets the late knockout here. Also don't mind violence as well. Also don't mind the finish only on Almeida. A lot of spots kind of sticking out on this one. Gordo, what are you looking at for this one here?
A lot of spots, but I also see a lot of different opportunities. Tukhugov has this way of just slowing people down, and I know Narco says he doesn't have control. Well, for me as a DraftKings player, I think that's great because he's able to get these takedowns over and over again and score really well. When we're looking at best bets, I have to think that although I'm seeing a lot of possible outcomes, on a card this exciting, I'm going to go with violence as well. I just think that Lucas Almeida has this ability to push forward. He has the ability to keep power in his hands through all 3 rounds. I definitely don't mind that round 3 TKO spot, but we're looking at a guy in Tukhugov who's had the ability to slow down fighters, and that's how he's getting to that 3rd round, and he's slowing down in the 3rd round where he's been able to fight at his own pace. If Lucas Almeida is able to push forward and keep pushing forward for 3 rounds, how is Tukhugov going to look later on? Does he have the cardio to withstand it? Either way, we also saw Almeida draw the last time out, so it's going to be an interesting spot. I get why the fight doesn't go as plus 120, and I am completely staying off this fight. But I do think if I had to place a bet, I would go with the fight doesn't go.
All right, more violence there, plus 134. Wheezy, what are you looking at for this fight here?
I kind of like Zubaira by 1st round knockout at plus 950. So Zubaira's 2 finishes at the UFC level are 1st round knockouts. Lucas Almeida has been hurt several times in several different fights in that 1st round. He tends to get clipped. He doesn't have great striking defense. And Zuba throws some strange angles. He's one of these dudes who keeps his hands down. He'll throw that big overhand right. And when it connects, people go down. And like I said, he had Ramos hurt in the 1st round. He had Laron Murphy. He dropped him in the 1st round and almost finished him. And then he did finish Ernest Chavez, and I forget who the other guy is that he finished. And not one of the greatest fighters, but he's dangerous early. And I've seen Lucas get hurt early, plus 950. You can make a really small bet. You can do 1/10 of a unit to win almost 1. But I think it's one of Zubaira's best win conditions.
All right, looks like we're all thinking violence in some aspect of things.
Can I
and not
say
wait for
something?
Yep.
Can I say something real quick? Sorry to interrupt you. I had written both of those down, like round 1 KO, because that was for my Lambo play, like plus 950. I played it. The one thing that Wheezy mentioned, like Zubaira is extremely dangerous in the 1st round. And the one thing that you have to really look at with Almeida is he drops his right hand a lot when he's throwing. So that was the one punch where Trezano dropped him pretty bad. It was the left hook. And Tukhugov loves the check left hook. And it's really, really live to get landed there. The other thing I want to mention is be careful with the round 3 prop KO. I probably just take the plus 2,200 round 3 just because I could see Almeida like hurting him and Tukhugov shooting for a takedown and getting choked out because Almeida does have a nasty guillotine. So just be careful with that. That's all I'll say. It's still plus 2,200. It's still a great line on FanDuel. I'd probably just play that and be a little safer.
Yep, good point there. All right, we'll move on to the next fight. We have Nikita Krylov going to get the Volkan Oezdemir, and I will kick this one off. And I like violence here again. I mean, I think that's kind of been the theme so far is violence, and it's a violence because it's a Nikita Krylov fight, and his fights typically finish inside the distance. He's like 37 fights. I think like 34 of them have finished inside the distance. It's only sitting at minus 180. Like this price tag, I'm scratching my head. I feel like it should be much wider than this. Because it's a Krylov fight. I think Krylov is very live for a finish here. You know, both guys have been finished a ton. Krylov's been finished, I think, all but one of his losses. Ozdemir's been finished 4 times as well. I think somebody's going down here, and it's only minus 180, light heavyweight fight. The line just doesn't make much sense to me. So I'm on that fight, doesn't go to decision, minus 180. And I think it's a very good look. Weezy, what do you like for this fight here?
Yeah, I've got a 2.5 unit bet on the under 2.5 in this spot. I got it at minus 126, and I don't know what happened, Brady, but like it opened at like minus 150, and then it got bet down. Who's betting overs in Nikita Krylov fights, man? Especially at that price where it's actually underpriced in comparison to the divisional finish rate. And a guy like Krylov, who in like a 40 fight sample size, 90% of his fights are finishing inside the distance, win or loss. So it's minus 150 right now on Caesars, the under 2.5. Love that spot. Nikita Krylov really brings violence with him. He brings chaos. I don't think Oezdemir is going to have any choice but to just stand and swing with this dude. And I think somebody's going to get knocked out. So I'm going with that under 2.5 here.
To answer your question, Weezy, it looks like Andy Mush Pictures in the chat is betting the over in a Krylov fight. So
what, Andy? Come on, Andy. Don't do it, dude.
He must move that opener.
Like, dude, here's why I'm saying you don't do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the price, you're not getting rewarded for these overs, right? The over 2.5 at plus 120, which I had early in the week, is it's actually overpriced. It's overpriced by 4.6% when you compare it to the benchmark for the division. And then you got a guy in Krylov who's fighting, over a 90% finish rate in a huge sample size of fights. So if you're betting those overs, get them at like plus 180, plus 200, because that's where they should be for you to be able to jump at them, because they're not paying you to take the over in a Krylov fight with where they have it priced.
Yep, totally agree. Narco, what is sticking out to you on this one here?
Yeah, same thing with you guys. But I got a little greedier, and I said fight doesn't start round 3. It's minus 106 on FanDuel. That's where I'm going. When you look at Krylov, like all of his fights, except the one, I believe, where he got finished in a third, but everything else is within those first 2 rounds. On the other side, I did not like what I saw from Oezdemir in the Paul Craig fight. Even though he won that fight, he looked kind of slower. I don't know what it is, but he didn't look very good. And I also like the Krylov side, to be honest. I think Krylov just wins here, and he probably stops Oezdemir at some point.
All right, 3 in a row for some violence. Yeah, that minus 106, that looks nice there. Gordo, what do you like for this fight here?
Yeah, I got no time to be different here. I'm with you guys on the fight doesn't go. I'm with you guys on the fight does start right in 3. That's what I was going to go with. Aside from Krylov's very first UFC fight, which ended in the 3rd round, he went on a 14-fight streak where it ended either round 1 or 2, which is absolutely insane. So fight doesn't start round 3 at minus 106 is a great number in my opinion. I'm not so sure why the money's coming back in either. I was looking at it, and that green arrow on the violent spot, it just weirded me out. But either way, I do think it finishes. Krylov showing that he's kind of back to his roots, going out there aggressively. And sure, Volkan Oezdemir has had some decisions recently, but that's because people have been content to play at range. Krylov's just a madman. So another violent spot here. Nothing too special to say. Give me that fight doesn't start round 3 at minus 106.
Yeah, we got John in the chat saying Krylov hasn't been a finisher in the UFC. I think he only has 1 decision.
Yeah, he's got 9 wins in the UFC, and 8 of them are finishes. So how do you call somebody that has an 88% finish rate not a finisher? Are you kidding me?
I don't know. But anyway, we'll move on to the next fight. Yeah, we got a tricky one here. We got Caio going against Makhmud Muradov. Weezy, we will start with you. What do you like in this fight here?
Sorry, so Borralho by submission is plus 460 right now. Caio's a very smart fighter. I think if Caio wants to be smart against somebody like Muradov, he's probably got to sell out for that takedown. Muradov has been finished by submission 4 times in his career. So I feel like it's a good... If you look at how Borralho probably will fight this fight, he's probably going to be pursuing takedowns and trying to accrue some control time on top. And Muradov's submission defense isn't great. So if he fights that way, I think plus 460 is a really good look for Borralho by submission here. It's probably the way I'd play this one.
Yeah, there's kind of two I'll give here, and the first one was that submission prop at plus 460. I mean, it just makes so much sense. You know, Borralho is a black belt. I know he did not submit Armin Petrosian, and I kind of thought he had an opportunities to there, but Petrosian's submission defense looked phenomenal. Muradov has been submitted a ton. It's like 4 or 5 times. So yeah, I think the submission's so live at that price tag. The other way I'm kind of looking at this is that over 1.5, kind of the non-violence aspect of things. I think this fight does go over. I think Kyle goes in there. He's a smart fighter. He's going to look to get takedowns. He's going to look to push Muradov against the cage. He's positioned over submission, and I think he does get this extended. But those are kind of the two spots I'm looking at. I think the sub's super live, though. And if Kyle really wants to, if he's able to get the fight down to the mat, I feel like he really could, give Muradov like his 5th or 6th submission loss. So curious to hear what you have to say, Gordo, on this one.
Yeah, I'm going last again, and it's taken away from me. No, I'm just messing with you. I am with you. I actually did play Borralho by submission at plus 550. I was able to get in there early, but I'm with you. I think Borralho wins this fight at a high clip. Best bet wise, though, I just go money line because I know that he is very good at being position over submission. I know he's just a really, really smart fighter. And that's like another reason why I'm so high on him. I think that although Muradov is going to have some decent skills and decent abilities to win this fight, when it comes to who's going to be dictating where this fight is taking place, it's going to be Borralho. And he is smart enough to do his research and know that he has the opportunity and the ability to win this fight on the mat. Not only that, but he's got this great way of blending his takedowns through his strikes. And I do think he gets his takedowns at will. I think he wins this fight at a pretty high clip. I did take the plus money on the submission, but I will be playing Borralho money line as well.
Yeah, plus 550. And Chuz got that plus 550 as well. Narco, what do you like into this fight?
Yeah, I mean, I like some of the takes here. Like, I like the submission. Like, the one thing that is very awkward here when you're looking at these lines is Caio Borralho's KO line is shorter than his submission line.
Yeah.
And
weird.
I watched a lot of tape, and I bet Borralho in every one of his fights, including Contender Series. And the one reason I believe why that's there is because Muradov versus a southpaw, he seems to not be seeing that left hand because Meerschaert landed the left hand over and over. And we know how bad of a striker Meerschaert is. And Borralho is actually a really good striker and has a good left hand. And he is also a southpaw. So looking at Muradov and the one time he fought a southpaw in Meerschaert, who's not a really good striker, and to see Meerschaert constantly landing the left hand, it's a little bit concerning. And seeing why the KO line is shorter than Borralho's submission prop is kind of like getting me worried. But I mean, I agree. At the end of the day, I agree. I don't think the submission line should be this wide just because Muradov it feels like the ground is lava to this guy when he gets taken down, and Meerschaert just basically subbed him pretty easy once he got him down there. So I know Borralho's position over submission, but he's still dangerous down there. And I honestly think he could probably wrap something up. Plus 460, I think, is still a good line.
All right, looks like we're all on the submission prop on that one. All right, we'll keep moving on. We have the last fight on the prelims here, and it's a really good fight. I thought there'd be kind of more hype on this fight throughout the week, but nobody's really talking about it as much as I thought, and that's probably because we have so many other phenomenal fights in this card, but we have Sean Brady going against Belal Muhammad. Gordo, you're not going to go last. You're going to go first this time. What do you like in this fight?
This is one where I'm very much going to contradict myself because I do think that whoever is the underdog in this fight is a good bet because I do think it's a 50-50 fight. Personally, I have a bet on Sean Brady. I have had this bet for months and months and months now, plus 115. I got him as the dog. But now we have this spot where the things have completely changed. Sean Brady's now the favorite. And although I do think he has the physicality edge, I think Belal Muhammad's got this insane ability to just stay in fights. He's got the better level of competition. He's a gritty fighter. Where I'm going to make this one my Lambo play because we're going to have some fun with this one. Just go with this fight to end a split decision. I think that this has split decision written all over it. I think it's a spot where you have two guys, very similar skill set. Although there may be some clinch exchanges where I do think Brady may have the edge with his physicality. If it's just whoever can get to the punch first, throwing that jab out there, I do think that in a stand-up affair, it could look like a split decision fight all day. Plus 400 is a fun way to play it if you like, but really I do think that whoever's the underdog come fight time, or if anybody's above plus 125, that's the way to go here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the split makes way too much sense. Every time I bet the split, though, like the fight ends inside the distance. Remember betting the split in, I think it was the Joanna Weili Zhang fight, and Zhang went out there
Yeah.
and killed her. So I don't know. I think I might stay away from the split, but it makes so much sense there at plus 400. For me, I agree with the very first thing you said, Gordo. I think, whoever's a dog here is the value. I think this is about as 50-50 fight as you can get. I think this is the toughest fight on the entire card. I think it can go either way. I think there's still a lot of question marks about Sean Brady and his takedown defense that I kind of thought, Chiesa would answer, but Chiesa went out there and only attempted one takedown. He was 1 for 1. I'm curious to see if Belal's able to get Sean Brady down here. And I'm curious to see if, on the flip side, Sean Brady can get Belal down. I'm really curious to see how this fight plays out. But I think it's close. I like the level of competition of Belal. I think it's going to be a big step of competition for Brady here. I'm going to take the dog money on Belal Muhammad here. But I don't have a ton of confidence in it. Narco, which way you lean on this one?
Yeah, I sort of lean Belal Muhammad just because one last fight against Chiesa, Brady striking really did not look good. When you have a guy like Chiesa piecing you up on the feet like that, that's like a bad sign. The other thing is cardio here. I know it's 3 rounds, but Brady seems to be slowing down late in these fights, and Muhammad has very, very, very good cardio. So, all things said, I think it's a 50-50 fight, kind of like what Gordo said. There's some intangibles that are better on the Muhammad side, but I do think as far as wrestling and jiu-jitsu, like Brady is better here in that aspect. The one best bet I can give you, and it's just the line that's way off market. It's Sean Brady by submission. It's plus 900 on FanDuel. Everywhere else, it's like 550, 525, and it's sitting there at 900 on FanDuel. This guy went out and beat Craig Jones, who's a world-class BJJ practitioner, and he beat him on Fury Grappling. So Brady can grapple, is very physically strong, and, I know Muhammad – he's faced guys like Maya and stuff, but Maya had a hard time getting him down. Brady, I think, can get him down, and he's the much better submission grappler here. So plus 900, I just feel like that line's way off.
Yep, he definitely is very, very dangerous on the mat. And yeah, it's an interesting fight. You have things you like about both guys, like Sean Brady, probably the better wrestler, the better grappler, Belal Muhammad, the better cardio, the better striking. But yeah, plus 900 for that sub. I think if there's a finish in this fight, it's absolutely coming from the Brady side. Belal's not finishing anybody. Weezy, what are you liking in this fight here?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been kind of like bouncing back and forth. I was originally on Belal. Now I'm picking Brady by decision. Brady by decision is plus 150, I believe, on FanDuel. I think that's a good look. And what I see a lot of people talking about is Belal Muhammad's takedown defense, right? He's stuffed 33 of 36 takedowns at the UFC level. But here's an interesting stat. There's like 6, 7, 8, about 17 fights for Belal Muhammad. 4 of those 17 fights, he's seen more than 1 takedown attempt. So even with these great takedown defense numbers, he's not getting wrestled a lot. And if you look at the names on the resume, you're not seeing any wrestlers. Alan Joban, Montano, Vicente Luque twice, Randy Rude Boy Brown, Jordan Meehan, Tim Means, Ren Counter, Jeff Neal, Millender, Takashi Sato, Lyman Good, Diego Lima, Leon Edwards, Damian Mayo was the fight where he saw 21 takedown attempts. He stuffed 20 of them. Stephen Thompson, and then Vicente Luque again. We're going to find out how good Belal Muhammad's takedown defense really is in the Brady fight. Now, Brady's really good. 60% takedown accuracy. Once he gets you down, you don't get back up. And I think that we're going to see a much different level on the ground if this fight does get there from Sean Brady. And on the feet, I might be speaking out of school here just a little bit. I don't think Belal is going to be that much better than Sean on the feet. Sean's got a good left hook. His striking is okay. It looked okay in the Court McGee fight, but it's not like Belal is this guy that's just absolutely this lights out striker that's winning all the minutes. And, he's very good, but He keeps fights where his opponents are least comfortable. I think that we're going to see if he's able to keep this fight standing here because Brady's a different breed.
Yeah, I think we're going to find out a lot and learn a lot about Sean Brady in this fight. I cannot wait for it. Probably one of my favorite fights in the card, but like I said, it's not getting as much hype as I thought. But now we're going to move on to the main card. Before we do so, if you guys can leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I also did link down Wheezy, Narco, and Gordo's YouTube channel. Go check them out. Go subscribe. They always put content out each and every week as well. But we're going to kick this off. We have Manon Fiorot going against Katlyn Chookagian. And I don't know about you guys. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say, but I love Manon Fiorot in this fight. We always talk about, laying chalk on women's MMA and this and that, but I think Manon wins this fight more often than not. I think she has more ways to win this fight. I think on the feet, both fighters throw a ton of volume. Chookagian does a lot of swing and missing. She does those sounds. And I think a lot of the times the judges are blind. So the judges aren't watching the fight. They're just listening to the sounds. And I think, sometimes they're scoring the fights for Chook just based off that reason. You go back and watch some of these fights of Chook, and, she's clearly losing a lot of these fights. I think the judges will have no choice but to score these rounds on the feet for Fiorot because she's going to be landing with a much, much harder shot. She has a ton of power compared to Chook, who doesn't have any power at all. And on top of that, I feel like Fiorot can absolutely mix in the takedowns here. She's out there taking down a black belt and Jennifer Maia. She's out there taking down an armbar specialist and Mara Bueno Silva. I think Manon Fiorot wins the striking exchanges on the feet, landing the harder shots, and I think she mixes in takedowns. I think she's very, very smart and going to come in here with a great game plan, and I think she wins this fight. So there's three spots I like, and I'm already on one of them, but if this line keeps coming down, I might just take the money line here on Manon minus 200. I like that. I like the finish only for Manon Fiorot, which was minus 205 on FanDuel Sportsbook, which just blows my mind. Chookagian has 0 finishes in the UFC. Manon Fiorot's finished the majority of her fights, so I like the finish only for Fiorot. I like the money line, and I don't mind a shot on Fiorot inside the distance or that KO prop plus 490. Plus 490 there for Fiorot by KO. So those are kind of the three spots I'm looking at. I'm already on the finish only, but I might be adding on with that KO prop and even the money line. Wheezy, what are you looking at for this fight here?
Yeah, I max bet this fight. I got the max bet on minus 205 for the Manon Fiorot finish only prop. Chookagian has 11 wins at the UFC level, and 0 of them are finishes. She's just not a finisher. She's a point fighter. She has no power, and she looks to win minutes. Manon is a lot more of a finisher. She's a lot meaner. She's a lot grittier. She will go to that grappling, and she's looking to knock people out. That's what she does. So I think that there's just a much higher percentage chance that if there is a finish in this fight, that it's Manon Fiorot instead of Katlyn Chookagian. So at minus 205, I've got 5 units on it. Might wind up being a push if this thing goes to decision, but I would be absolutely shocked if Katlyn Chookagian went out there and finished Manon Fiorot on Saturday.
Yeah, unless they allow Chookagian to bring in like a barbed wire baseball bat or maybe a steel chair, maybe a table. I just don't see Chookagian finishing Fiorot. Narco,
what do that anymore, Brady? It's not like the old days, man.
It's definitely not like the old days. But Narco, what do you like for this fight here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much in agreement with you guys. I feel like Fiorot, just the more power in the hands. I do think she's going to be the stronger girl here. And strength matters a lot in women's MMA. And like you mentioned, like she throws with more power, has more finishing ability, and then she can mix in the takedowns. Absolutely. Like Chookagian has been taken down a bunch in the UFC at the UFC level. I know she's good on the ground, but Amanda Ribas, for me, who's physically much weaker than a girl like Fiorot, got her down 3 times. Fiorot can easily get her down 3 or 4 times here if she chooses to. So for me, it's just I don't want to lay minus 200. I do believe she's going to win. So with that being said, I do think Chookagian's pretty tough. So I'm just going to lean the Fiorot decision line at like minus 104, 110 or whatever you want to get in that range. I think that's fine. I think she wins this fight more than not by decision. Like if you look at her in the UFC, she first finished Leonardo and Ricci, but after the competition got stepped up, she hasn't really finished the next two. So I think Fiorot decision is fine at minus 105, 110 range.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most likely outcome here. Gordo, what do you like for this fight?
I'll tell you this, guys, for a fact here. Manon Fiorot va gagner ce soir. On se gagne samedi. Ça va être un très bon match. No, I really do think that the French fighter is going to get it done. I'm just shocked. I did not know her finish only was minus 205. I saw it at minus 350 on Bet Online. I did not know. You have to assume that Fiorot getting a finish is much more likely than Chookagian in this spot. The one devil's advocate I will play is Chookagian just finds a way to win all these decisions. I don't think it's going to matter because she's not strong enough here, but you know what? You can always hedge out on that a Chookagian decision. It feels like a staple. But no, I'm on Fiorot to win inside the distance as well. I'm going to take her money line as the best bet, but you know what? Thanks for letting me know about that finish only because c'est bon, c'est très bon.
Yeah, that finish only is crazy. I don't know what FanDuel's doing on that one. Unless they have some inside information, like unless Chookagian is allowed to bring in like a steel chair or a metal baseball bat or a truck. A truck could potentially finish Manon here, but outside of that, I just don't see it. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, we'll move on to the next fight. We have a very, very high level fight. What a fight this is. We have Mateusz Gamrot going against Beneil Dariush. And we will start with you, Gordo. What do you like for this fight here?
Yeah, I can't speak any Polish here, so I'm going to stick to the French. No, I'm on the Gamrot side. I do think that he does win this fight at a pretty high clip, and it's unfortunate because I was talking about this with Clint last night. I'm a huge fan of Beneil Dariush. I like his style. I like the guy as just a person, as an individual. I don't necessarily think that this is the best stylistic matchup for him, though. I think if we look at the way he's winning his fights, it's grappling, drawing people into brawls, having this ability to get these comeback wins. But we look against Gamrot, I mean, he could theoretically be 22-0, and every time you see him fight, he looks like he's improving. And you saw him against Tarzukian. I personally think Tarzukian won that fight, but either way, he was able to compete with him and show different levels to his game that I do think he can go out there and impose against Beneil Dariush. At that same time, if we really want to draw from that 5-round main event, 5-round main event. This is only a 3-round fight. Does Gamrot have to worry about fighting such a high pace or doing all that? No, he can go out there and go balls to the wall. And I do think when it comes to power as well, not only has Dariush been dropped and finished before, Gamrot shown to have decent power as well. So I think Gamrot has the power, the technicality, and the feet, very good wrestling as well, and decent jiu-jitsu. And I just think he's got the immeasurables aspect here. I don't think he wins this fight at a pretty high clip. The best bet for me is going to be Mateusz Gamrot.
Gamrot money line looks like best price out there currently minus 188. Wheezy, what do you like here for this fight here?
My prop template loves the under 2.5 in this fight. At plus 155, that's a 39.22% implied probability. But over a big sample size of UFC fights that we have to draw on here between Dariush and Gamrot, their fights are going under 2.5 rounds 60% of the time. We're only paying 39.22% on that implied probability. Beneil Dariush has been finished in all 4 of his losses, and he's got this way of just drawing people into brawls. And at plus 155, it's underpriced by 7.4% compared to the benchmark. It's underpriced by 20.78% when you compare it to the two fighters' combined finish rates, or under 2.5 rates at the UFC level. And these guys are going under 2.5 rounds at a 13.4% rate higher than what the division does. I think this under is severely underpriced here. And I think the stylistic matchup here really does say that both of these guys are great grapplers and have a bunch of power on the feet as well. Could definitely see this fight finishing inside the distance.
Yep, I agree. I want the same thing. I actually want the fight doesn't go up plus 130 there, get that extra 2.5 minutes. But yeah, we're on the same page here. I think violence is a good look. Dariush, like you said, finishing all of his losses. Not only that, offensively, Dariush has a ton of power and obviously a very good ground game as well. I think both guys are live for the finish. I personally lean more towards Gamrot getting that finish, getting that knockout. I know Mushroom in the chat said Gamrot by knockout, which is around like plus 500. But yeah, I'm on the fight doesn't go. I'm on violence here. I think somebody's getting finished in this one. And yeah, I think it's a really good price here. Narco, which way are you leaning on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a bet anything on this fight yet, but I'm leaning the Dariush side at this price, plus 163. I I know, Gamrot is really good. I do respect his game a lot, but like when and I have Tsarukyan up there as one of the best fighters in the division, but if we talk about a 3-round fight, like he loses that fight pretty easily. I do think I agree with Gordo. I think he still lost that fight. And the thing here is like striking wise, I do favor Beneil Dariush. I think he's the better striker. He has more power in my opinion. And then the grappling aspect, like, Dariush it looks extremely strong in the grappling. He's taken almost everybody down when he wanted to. And Gamrot, he's a great scrambler, great on the ground. The only thing I can say is where I favor Gamrot is the later this fight goes, the more I favor him. But early on, I do kind of lean like Dariush early. I think he has the more of the finishing ability. Gamrot did get dropped in his last fight against Tsarukyan. And to be honest, like Tsarukyan, he's very good. Don't get me wrong, but his hands are not that good. He's mainly just a kicker on the feet. Dariush is both a kicker and a striker with his hands, and he's got decent boxing. So I can't I don't know why this price is minus 200 on Gamrot. Like off of one win against Tsarukyan, where again it's kind of like an asterisk next to it because Tsarukyan I think won that fight, but I think this line's a little disrespecting. That's all to Dariush. I think plus 163. I'm just gonna wait. Hopefully, people keep coming in on Gamrot, and I get like plus 200. Then I'm all for it, like that. But I'm staying away for now. The only thing that concerns me with Dariush coming off an injury, I guess he had some Achilles problem after the actual fibula break. So that's a little bit concerning, but. People always mentioning age. I mean, they're pretty close in age. Like one guy's 33, one guy's 31. So, I mean, it's kind of like a, show me spot for Gamrot because, he beat Tsarukyan, but show me you could do it again.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. And I agree. I think Dariush is probably getting disrespected a little bit. I think people kind of forgot how good Dariush is. He's phenomenal. And I think, the reason the line is where it's at is because there is a lot of hype on Gamrot. So we'll see what happens. I don't like a side in this fight. I do like the violent side of things, though. All right, we'll move on to the next fight. We have Petr Yan going against Sean O'Malley. Weezy, I'm going to kick it to you because I have a sneaky suspicion that this fight may contain an ass shaving of the week.
Dude, how did you know that?
I don't know.
Because you're dead on. That it happens to be Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. I'm picking Petr Yan over Sean O'Malley, and I have another max bet on this fight. I've had 2 max bets all year prior to this week, and now I've got 3 max bets on this card. This is the Petr Yan finish only prop. I got it at minus 200 and then was alerted to the fact that it was minus 172 on FanDuel.
What?
The finish only prop, right? What? Yeah. I mean, I couldn't believe it because Petr Yan's a minus 260 favorite and the finish only is minus 200 as if Sean O'Malley is going to finish the Siberian killer in Petr Yan. He's not finishing Petr Yan. Siberia couldn't finish Petr Yan. He's 27 years old.
Weezy, guess what?
What's up?
It moved. On FanDuel, it's minus 154.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. Because I was going to go potentially play the minus 170 you're talking about. Minus 154 now.
Oh, I mean, go smash it, dude. I mean, nobody's finishing Petr Yan. Nobody's finishing him. He's an absolute stud. And he's got, a lot of power in his hands, too. I think if he grapples here, he could really torture Sean O'Malley here. So if this thing goes to decision, I'll just get my money back. It's no big deal. But I just think that the finishing equity is all on the Petr Yan side. This is only a 3-round fight, keep in mind. So I think Petr Yan does get the finish here. At that price, it's kind of ridiculous that you're getting a break on the finish only prop for Yan in comparison to his money line. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But that's a big bet here for me. But the reason I made that finish only prop bet was because it's a 3-round fight and because Sean O'Malley has shown a really good job, ability to win minutes on the feet. He'll be the taller guy, the longer guy. I could see him maybe winning minutes and making this very close where you don't want to be holding a minus 250 ticket for 5 units. So I just figured I would count on the durability of Petr Yan here, and I like him to be the guy to more likely finish this fight inside the distance.
Yeah, Weezy, you said it best. I mean, if Siberia couldn't finish Petr Yan, how can Sean O'Malley finish him? So yeah, I mean that's wild. The line even minus 154 now is wild. Narco,
I can't believe that.
I know. It's Narco. What do you like about this one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the Yan side. I kind of see like Sean O'Malley a little bit similar to a guy like, a guy that Petr Yan already fought in Corey Sandhagen, but Corey Sandhagen has more of the flying knees, has the better ground game, is a little bit more dangerous, I believe, than Sean. Sean O'Malley is basically all hands. And the one thing that's pretty important here, in my opinion, is when you watch Petr Yan's career, and I literally went and watched almost every single fight of his, when he fights these longer guys like Aljamain Sterling, Corey Sandhagen, in both Aljamain Sterling fights, you know what Petr Yan does more? He kicks the legs a lot more. Guess what? He's going to kick the legs a lot more here, and we know what O'Malley is or what happens to him when legs get kicked. So the one thing you could really see and hone in on Petr Yan is he's a smart fighter. He does use the leg kicks a lot more versus taller opponents. And Sean O'Malley is definitely the taller opponent with very fragile, question mark calves. And honestly, KO line is plus 390. Give me Petr Yan by KO, man. I think, and not to mention O'Malley's last fight, it got stopped or whatever. That was not a good look in that first round against Pedro Munoz.
Nope.
No, it was not. I do want to address something in the chat. Jeff saying Jan starts slow. If you like Jan, take the live. And shout out to Garrett Kerman, my dude. I met him in Miami a couple years ago. He put out a tweet that was really interesting. He said, just a little tidbit of information regarding the Jan is a slow starter argument. In 3-round fights, Jan is throwing on average 48.5 strikes, landing 48%, and throwing 10.29 strikes per minute in round 1. So in 3-round fights, he's not really starting as slow as a lot of people think. Because I've heard that argument like all week. So I don't think he's really going to start as slow as some might think. But for me, yeah, I mean, it's going to be that finish only, like minus 154 now. But originally, I did like the Jan inside the distance in general. Last time I checked on FanDuel, it was like plus 300. I'm not sure if that line has moved at all, but around the plus 300 range for Jan inside the distance. Jan has so much power, 10 UFC fights and 10 knockdowns for Petr Yan. I think he can pressure O'Malley, hurt him on the feet, finish him. I think he can mix in takedowns, get on top, and get a TKO. I do think that he does finish O'Malley in this fight at some point, and I'm liking the inside the distance around like plus 300 there. But yeah, I will also I'll have to bet that finish only. Like Weezy said, I mean, if Siberia cannot finish Petr Yan, is O'Malley going to do it? I don't think so. So yeah, I think a couple spots do stick out for me. Gordo, what's sticking out for you?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to apologize for starting the French Revolution in the chat, but you got me working on that a bit. So, no, in this fight here, okay, I'm going to put this out here. I think Petr Yan wins this fight. For me, just every time I picture this fight going down, it's hard for me to it's not hard for me to picture Sean O'Malley stealing a round or two early on with his length, with his accuracy. I mean, there's the one thing he does best is be a technical boxer, and I think that Petr Yan is going to give him that chance. Again, I think Petr Yan wins this fight, but I would not be surprised if Sean O'Malley stole a round or two. And that's why I'm saying it's like if you could look into those decision props, I'm not as confident as you guys that Yan gets him out of there. For me, it's more Yan by decision or Yan by split decision, because I would not be surprised if O'Malley is able to steal a round or two. I don't mind that live bet after round 1 prop that Jeff Lebowski is talking about. I know you're talking. I think it's more so, even though Yan is still throwing as much, he's not really being as accurate in those early rounds. He's downloading the information. And as soon as that fight goes on, he's getting into more of that flow state. I think he's connecting more as the fight goes on. So it doesn't look like he's doing as much, but he is throwing as much early on. So I think that for sure, the longer the fight goes, Yan's be able to download information. I think it's one that's going to be a lot closer fight than people think, although Petr Yan has all the advantages in this spot.
Yep. So a decision for Gordo. You don't think he's gonna shave any ass? I hope he
No, I
shaves some
don't.
ass. But we'll definitely see. I cannot wait for that fight. I'll move on to the co-main event here. We have Aljamain Sterling going against TJ Dillashaw. Narco, let's start with you. What are you liking on this fight here?
Yeah, I mean, another really, really, really good fight. TJ Dillashaw, coming off a injury here. It's been over a year. The guy is, he's hitting 36 now. So there is some question marks with him. And, Aljamain Sterling against that fight, beating Petr Yan, to me was pretty impressive. Like, I understand it's a close fight, but, backpacking a guy like that, getting his back multiple times, a guy that's extremely hard to get down in Petr Yan, was pretty impressive for me. Again, I kind of like the injury, the age aspect, those are concerns for me on the TJ Dillashaw side. So for me, I'm gonna go with this is not like something that I'm really confident. I don't have a bet on this fight as of now. But Aljamain Sterling, like by decision, 140 range. I guess on Betway you can get 140. I don't think he's going to stop Dillashaw here. Dillashaw is extremely tough. Not going to be easy to sub this guy either. I don't think this guy's getting subbed. But I do think Sterling is able to get him down maybe a couple times, maybe get some back time. Give me a Sterling by decision, in that 130 to 150 range.
It looks like Sterling by decision plus 150, bet 365. Gordo, what do you like for this fight here?
Yeah, I don't know if it's me just being a fan and wanting to sit back and really enjoy these last 3 fights, but I don't have that much conviction on this one. I was lucky enough to have Clint on my show yesterday, and he is all over TJ Dillashaw, and I get the confidence on the underdog. But for me, there's so many things going on behind this fight, as in, like, you could theoretically say both these guys lost their last fight, and what do those lines look if they do? I don't necessarily know what version of each fighter we're getting in this spot, because we saw an Aljamain Sterling that was completely content to backpack and stay there, and which is he did the right thing. He won the fight versus his last time out there. We saw him go balls to the wall, not stop throwing action. Was he slowing down a bit? He could, but doing that, the version of Aljamain Sterling that came out in that very first fight against Petr Yan, I think TJ Dillashaw would be able to wipe the floor with him. So for me, it's a spot where I think it's probably dog or pass here in TJ Dillashaw, but I'm not the biggest fan of it all. I don't know if Aljamain Sterling's gonna have the ability to take down TJ consistently and keep him there, but really, I think it's a really, really close fight. It could be greasy till the end. The pick for the best bet is gonna be TJ Dillashaw, just because I think that the fight's a lot closer than that line entails. But if you're looking for a bigger bet, I wouldn't be surprised if TJ Dillashaw got a knockout in the later rounds. I think that although Sterling is shown to be durable, good endurance and stuff like that, he was slowing down against Yan. And if TJ Dillashaw is able to keep that cardio, keep that pace on him for the first 4 rounds and keep getting up every time Sterling takes the back or takes him down, could get a bit dicey in those later rounds. But official picks to be TJ Dillashaw money line, but not with as much conviction as I'd like. I'm really just looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the same thing, and Dillashaw money line. Of course, there are those concerns with the layoff, the injury, super inactive over the last couple of years, the age, now 36 years old. It's just, I look at this matchup stylistically, and I think it's such a winnable fight for TJ Dillashaw. I mean, he does a lot of things that I like to see, especially in this matchup against Aljamain Sterling. I love the cardio, the pressure, the pace, the striking, the takedown defense, the get up game. Nobody's been able to control this guy for more than a minute in his entire career. So if Sterling does that, he'll be the first guy to do so. But the reason you can't be too confident is because of those reasons, with the age, with the layoff, with the injury. But stylistically, I think is a very winnable matchup, and it's a very, very good line there at plus 155. I think at the very least, like, this fight plays out super close. But if TJ Dillashaw can show up and look anywhere near his old self, I think this is such a good matchup for him. But of course, I am going to kind of tread lightly here. But yeah, I do like the Dillashaw money line plus 155. It's kind of been around that plus 155 range all week. So we'll see where it goes from there. But yeah, I do like the Dillashaw side myself. But yeah, what a phenomenal fight. Wheezy, what do you like in this co-main event?
Yeah, I'm not going to be betting this fight because, it's hard to know where TJ is coming off this injury, and before that, we had a long layoff before the Sandhagen fight due to him getting caught cheating. So 2 years off. Then he gets the Dillashaw, he gets the Sandhagen fight, tears his knee up in the first round, and then fights smart and finds a way to win that fight on the judges' scorecards. But I can't trust TJ Dillashaw at this point, coming off that injury, been very inactive recently. But if we're looking at stats and past performance, this is a nightmare matchup for Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain is a grappler. He's not going out there and outstriking people. And he's certainly not going out there and outstriking strikers the quality of TJ Dillashaw. So the stat that's most important in this fight is that TJ Dillashaw has got well over 10 UFC fights. And in those 10 fights, and I don't even know how many minutes, he's been controlled for less than 1% of his UFC cage time. So for a guy like Sterling, who depends on getting takedowns, who depends on getting on somebody's backs and winning minutes there, for a guy who gives up less than 1 out of 100 seconds of control time, how the hell do you achieve that objective against a guy like Dillashaw, who's stopping takedowns at an 86% clip? If I'm not mistaken, this dude has only been taken down 5 times in his UFC career. And I think 4 of them were by Dominic Cruz. And on those 4 takedowns, he got less than 40 seconds of control time. So if Aljo can't take this dude down and hold him down, I don't see how you really pay minus 175 for Aljamain Sterling in a 5-round striking match against a striker the quality of TJ Dillashaw. So if you put a gun to my head and made me bet this fight, it would be the TJ Dillashaw money line here. But I think there's just too many unanswered questions about where TJ's at in this point in his career and whether he can still fight like the old version after the injuries, after getting caught cheating.
Yeah, and when there's so many questions, so many things that are unanswered, you do not want to lay like minus 180, right? So I'm with you. It's dog or pass. Don't hate anybody for just passing on the fight in general, because it's an interesting one, but we'll have to see. It should be good. All right, now we have the main event, the fight that everybody has been waiting for. This is fight of the year for me, a fight I've been looking forward to as soon as it got announced. I'm sure it's the same for many people. It's just such an intriguing matchup, a huge matchup for the division. We got Islam Makhachev going against Charles Oliveira. Gordo, we will start with you. What are you liking, and what is your best bet for this fight?
What a fight. And that's really just what I got to say to this one. And I told myself a few things. First of all, I told myself I wasn't going to bet on this fight because of how good it was. But as the line is moving up and down, first of all, no one can get a good read on this one. So I'm excited to hear what your thoughts are on the final way the line settles. But I was looking at it, and to me, it's just crazy because we're not going to get this same price tag on either of these guys going forward. So I did end up placing a bet. I took a shot on Islam Makhachev. And we look at this from a broader point of view. First of all, if anyone was able to get the fight doesn't go up minus 170 when it was out there for like a day or so, that was great. But I was not lucky enough to do that. I wasn't smart enough to get that line. So don't have that option. But I do think that when you're looking at both these guys and you're looking at the way they fight, Charles Oliveira has had great success recently, but he hasn't had to face someone who is going to grapple him, because who wants to grapple Charles Oliveira? When you think Charles Oliveira, you think the guy with the most submission wins in the UFC, and rightfully so. But people are forgetting that he has been controlled. And if he can't get a finish on you on the ground, he's probably going to be held there for a long period of time. He's prone to being hit for a long period of time as well. And we haven't necessarily seen him really extended. So at minus 150 is what I got Islam Makhachev. Right now, minus 172, I wouldn't mind that either. It's going back and forth, though. I just think he has the better path to victory in this spot, and I see him winning. I see him losing this fight more so than Oliveira winning it. Really, I think it's Islam going to be winning the fight until he gets caught with something. And for me, I just think Islam Makhachev is hungry. I think he gets it done. I don't want to say this because I love Charles Oliveira, and I really want to see him get an exciting finish. But my brain, my research telling me Islam Makhachev is one to hold him there and keep him there and win a decision, which is crazy, or finish him late.
Shit. I don't like to hear that.
Crazy. I don't like to say it either, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, for me, I am gonna go on the violence route. As far as picking a winner, I do lean towards the Islam side myself. Not extremely confident. I don't want to completely count out Charles Oliveira. But yeah, it's a Charles Oliveira fight, and that means violence. This guy has 41 fights. 36 of them have went under 2.5 rounds. This guy does not go the distance more often than not. These finish lines have been smashed throughout the week, rightfully so. At this point, I think I would just do the fight won't start round 4 minus 190. Like I said, Oliveira, 36 fights have went under that 2.5 rounds. He's never seen a 4th round. That's kind of where I'd go at this point. I don't mind the fight doesn't go as a parlay piece if you still can get around that like minus 360 range. But yeah, it's violence for me, if anything. Just not really confident in picking a side here because Charles is so dangerous on the feet, on the mat. And this is going to be a step up in competition for Islam here. But yeah, stylistically, I think Islam should win, but Charles just scares the crap out of me. Don't know if I want to pull the trigger on Islam there. But yeah, give me violence. Fight won't start round 4. Minus 190 is the only spot I'd look at this point. Narco, what do you like for the main event here?
Yeah, I mean, what a fight, man. Like, I love Charles Oliveira, man. The guy brings it every single fight now. Every one of his fights is crazy, like twisted turns. He's getting hurt. He's getting the guys. He's coming back, hurting the guys. So, but the thing is, like Gordo mentioned, man, he's never faced a wrestler, a suffocating guy like Islam, man. And, you know, I get it that he's a great, you know, he has great jiu-jitsu. And it's hard, though, when you got a guy as suffocating as Islam is. And, you know, from bottom, again, it's a lot harder to get these, you know, he has that guillotine in him, but once he's on top and settled, it's extremely tough to get a guy like Islam subbed on top. So with that being said, you know, I got him in at minus 165. I have 5 units on Islam. You know, the line hasn't gone up much, which is a little concerning because I thought it was going to actually move. But yeah, man, you can't look past how good this guy's wrestling is. I mean, being on top, he's phenomenal, man. And I get it. You know, Charles Oliveira is next level BJJ, but I do still think he gets tired. I do think, that he gasses out, because of his style. And if he just doesn't finish this fight early, I think he's toast come, 3, 4, 5. And I also think those props for Islam are extremely live here.
Yep, sounds good. Yeah, those props are pretty juicy. We can talk about those in a little bit. But Wheezy, what are you liking in this fight?
So yeah, I've got a 5-unit max bet on the fight doesn't go to decision at minus 170, whatever we got it at. Maybe it was minus 172. So happy to have that. That's a great spot. I can get out at plus 350 for fight goes to decision. So I love the line movement there. But since we can't get it at that price anymore, I would just give you the Islam Makhachev money line at minus 174. I mean, this guy is absorbing, like I said, less than one significant strike per minute. In his entire UFC career, he's never once absorbed more than 13 significant strikes in any fight. He's an absolute master at shutting down the offense of his opponents, and he's a very high percentage wrestler. He's great at avoiding submissions when he's on top, and Charles Oliveira never has been known for a good takedown defense, and you don't get takedown defense that stops Islam Makhachev's takedowns with one training camp. So I'm thinking Islam gets this fight to the ground, and I think he eventually finds the submission on Charles Oliveira once Charles realizes this is either going to go for 25 full minutes or I can just tap. And usually people just tap because Islam just wears on you that much.
Yep, looks like the panel is on Islam. I know a lot of people are on Oliveira. By the way, did you see Oliveira say in an interview that he made a pact with God that he was going to knock out Islam in the very first round? Like, that's terrifying. That is, he made a pact with God that he's going to knock this guy out. So we'll have to see. But yeah, what a freaking fight. Fight of the year. This fight's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see it. So we did it, guys. We went through all 13 or 12 fights. I think 13 fights. We're going to kick it around here. We will start with Gordo. Gordo, let the people know where they can find you and what you have going on throughout the week.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me to break down such a wonderful card, man. I'm so excited for it. Hope everyone is able to, set their alarms in time and get up and watch them, especially you guys on the West Coast. But you can find all my work on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. Not only did I have a full card betting breakdown yesterday with Clint from the Die Hard MMA podcast, but I'm also going live in 10 minutes to break down this card once again, this time from a purely DraftKings perspective. So only talking DraftKings this time. But anything else from me, my plays, my bets, to talk to me at Gambles Gordo on Twitter. Appreciate you having me on. Appreciate the talk in the chat, and I wish everybody the best of luck this weekend.
I know exactly what you're talking about, Andy Mush, from that Key and Pill skit. I can see it for sure. We got Weezy. Weezy, let the people know where they can find you and what you have going on throughout the week.
Yeah, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Uncle Weezy. You can find me on the MMA Engine YouTube channel where we do probability every Monday night. You can also find me on Pub Sports Radio every Sunday for Stat Diggers, every Wednesday for the DFS show, which we already filmed today, and every Saturday for the watch along. Let's all just stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 280. And you can find me tonight at midnight Eastern time on the Couch Warriors channel, where we're going to be breaking down this card with Addicted to Combat, myself, the Couch Warrior, Wiz Bets, and oh, come on.
Everyone's joining.
Yeah, there's one more person too that I forgot earlier. Anyway, it's going to be a great show, so I can't wait for that.
Yes, sir. Go check out Gordo in about 7 minutes. Go check out Uncle Weezy tonight. And then go check out Narco as well. Narco, let the people know where they can find you, what you have going on throughout the week.
Yeah, thanks for having me first off. And good luck to everybody in this panel and in the chat. You can find me at NarcoCop on Twitter. NarcoCop MMA is my YouTube channel. 15 more to 1K subscribers. Please help me out. I'd really appreciate it. We have a show on Friday with DFS by the numbers. Brady's going to be in there for the Lambo show. It's basically plus 300 plays or better on each and every fight. And also there's going to be John Stargarian and my co-host Tim Troiano. And also we do a live space every Saturday during the fight card. So this week it's going to be real bright and early for me in the West Coast here. So yeah, guys, that's about it. I just want to thank everybody in chat per usual. Thank you guys for being here, because without you guys, we wouldn't have these shows.
Heck yeah, go check out Narco. The link to his YouTube is down in the description. Hey, he's 15 subscribers away. We got 184 of you. If 15 of you can go over there and sub, get him to 1,000 on a card like this. And of course, that Lambo Plays podcast Friday at 10. It's going to be a fun one for sure. You guys can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. I'll be going live Friday. I'm thinking around like 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, around there. But yeah, outside of that, best of luck, guys. UFC 280 going to be a phenomenal card. Let us make some money. See you guys later.